The seven deadly sins are not just religious ideas, they're timeless reflections of human behavior. Pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth each represent a different way people lose control, distort their desires, or place themselves above balance. But what if these sins weren't abstract concepts? What if they existed in the natural world, embodied by animals whose instincts mirror these extremes? While animals themselves do not sin, they simply survive. Certain species seem to perfectly represent these traits when viewed through a human lens. Some reflect dominance, others obsession, and some pure chaos. Seen this way, the animal kingdom becomes a living metaphor for the darker sides of human nature. Pride. Pride takes the form of the lion, not just because it is powerful, but because of what it represents. The lion does not simply exist within its environment. It dominates it. A male lion stands at the top of the savanna, his mane resembling a crown, his posture alone enough to command respect. He does not chase every fight or hunt every meal. Others do that for him. Pride, in this sense, is not just strength, but the belief that one deserves that position above all others. Yet there is a darker side. Lions will eliminate the offspring of rivals to assert their dominance, ensuring that only their lineage remains. It is not enough to be king. Everything must reflect that status. Pride is not always loud or boastful. Sometimes it is quiet, seated, watching, fully convinced of its own superiority. The lion embodies that silent authority, a creature that does not ask for respect, but expects it. Greed. Greed is not always obvious, nor is it always loud. It does not necessarily appear as overconsumption, but often as quiet, calculated desire. The raven represents greed through intelligence rather than appetite. Known for its ability to observe, remember, and even collect objects, especially those that catch its attention, this bird embodies the idea of wanting more than what is necessary. Unlike creatures that consume openly, the raven watches. It studies others, waits for opportunity, and takes when the moment is right. This is a deeper form of greed, one driven not by need, but by comparison. It is the thought that if something exists and belongs to another, it should also belong to you. The raven does not simply survive, it accumulates. It becomes a symbol of desire that never fully settles, always searching, always reaching for more. Wrath. Wrath is not just anger. It is anger that has lost all restraint. It is explosive, overwhelming, and often disproportionate. The wolverine captures this perfectly. Despite its relatively small size compared to other predators, it shows no hesitation in confronting animals much larger than itself. Wolves, bears, anything that enters its space can become a target. This is not calculated behavior driven by necessity. It is raw aggression, unleashed without hesitation. Wrath does not pause to think. It reacts instantly and with full force. The wolverine is relentless once it commits to a fight, pushing forward with an intensity that feels almost excessive. That is what makes it such a powerful symbol. It is not just dangerous, it is unpredictable. Wrath is not about having power, but about losing control over it. And the wolverine represents that loss in its purest form. Envy. Envy exists in silence. It does not announce itself or act immediately. Instead, it watches, grows, and waits. The snake embodies this quiet tension perfectly. Hidden from view, it observes its surroundings with patience, never rushing its movements. Envy is the desire for what others have, but it is also fueled by resentment. That resentment builds slowly, often unseen, until the moment it finally reveals itself. The snake does not chase its prey in open pursuit. It studies, calculates, and strikes only when the outcome is certain. In the same way, envy does not act impulsively. It waits for the perfect opportunity. There is also an element of replacement. Envy does not seek to create or build something new. It seeks to take what already exists. The snake, coiled and still, becomes a symbol of that hidden desire. Silent, patient, and ultimately decisive. Lust. Lust is desire in its most relentless form, driven not by necessity, but by instinct and repetition. The rabbit represents this better than almost any other animal. Known for its extraordinary reproductive rate, the rabbit has become a universal symbol of fertility and unchecked desire. It does not engage in complex rituals or prolonged courtship. Instead, it reproduces rapidly and continuously, driven by an instinct that seems almost constant. This is lust stripped of emotion or deeper meaning. It is pure impulse. Lust is not just about attraction. It is about excess, about desire that repeats itself without pause or reflection. The rabbit embodies this cycle perfectly, turning reproduction into a defining trait. It becomes a symbol of desire that never truly ends, always continuing, always seeking expression. Gluttony. Gluttony is excess taken beyond necessity. It is not simply hunger, but the inability to stop consuming even when the need has long been satisfied. The pig represents this in a way that is instantly recognizable. It eats constantly, driven by instinct to consume whatever is available, without restraint or consideration. But gluttony is more than just eating. It is about turning consumption into identity. The pig does not measure or limit itself. It takes in more than it needs, more than it can sustain, and continues regardless. Over time, that excess becomes defining. Gluttony transforms a natural behavior into something excessive and overwhelming. The pig stands as a symbol of indulgence without control, of taking endlessly without ever reaching satisfaction. Sloth. Sloth is often misunderstood as simple rest, but it is something deeper. It is the avoidance of action, the refusal to engage even when action is necessary. The sloth embodies this almost perfectly, moving slowly, conserving energy, and spending most of its life in stillness. It exists in a state of near constant inactivity. But what makes it symbolic is not just its pace, it is its detachment. The sloth reacts slowly, moves only when required, and remains largely unaffected by urgency or change. Sloth, as a concept, is not about calmness. It is about absence. It is the choice to remain passive while the world continues to move. The sloth represents this absence in physical form, a creature that exists on the edge of action, but rarely fully steps into it, allowing everything around it to happen without involvement. If you want to learn more about animals like these, subscribe to the channel and explore the world of wildlife one species at a time.